We are here, and it is now. Welcome to the Fight IQ podcast. If you are a regular viewer and you think things look a little differently, well, I mean, you have a much more handsome host for one thing, but also we have one new analyst and one analyst you've seen before, but maybe not so often. Both fantastic. We're talking about Drake and Joey T. You know Drake from RotoWire, but Drake and Joey have a YouTube show where they make their own picks, and I'll let them tell you a little more about that. But we got quality analysts here. We got a quality card here, which I'm excited for because not only have we had some subpar fight night cards lately, the last pay-per-view wasn't all that great. So it's wonderful for me to actually see some intriguing matchups here. We got a lot of big dogs and guys that you wouldn't really consider to be big dogs. So I find it pretty interesting, and I'm interested to hear you guys take. Drake, I'll throw it over to you first. How you feeling about this card, and how you doing in general, man?
I'm doing all right. I'm kind of under the weather a little bit, so I'm trying to deal with that. But man, I'm excited for this card. It's the return of Jon Jones, though I'm not the biggest fan, but we'll get to that later. But yeah, I'm excited for this card. There's a lot of really good fights. I feel like there's gonna be a lot of finishes.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I do the projection for RotoWire, and I couldn't believe how many fights on this card were minus 200 or better to end inside the distance. So we should definitely see some fireworks. Joey, first of all, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for doing this, and just give me some of your general thoughts about the card and how you see everything going down tomorrow.
First off, I want to thank you for bringing me on short notice. I'll gladly do it anytime if needed. As a card as a whole, I'm very excited. As Drake said, the return of Jon Jones. Me and him have our own break on the video of how we feel about it. As a talent, he's good, but as a person, other hand, different story. But as a whole, I'm very excited on the card. I see a lot of action and potentially a lot of finishes. As you said, I see a lot of minus money for inside the distance. We'll stay that way, I hope, because we all love a good action-packed type of card. But we'll see, man. I'm ready to have a good show and get some breaking down going.
Absolutely. For the chat, if you're not aware, you post things if they're funny, if they're interesting, if there's a question, I'll put it up here and we'll reference it, we'll comment on it, we'll answer it. But for now, we are going to jump right into the fights. And the first fight we have here, starting from the bottom and working our way up, we have Esteban Ribovs taking on Leok Radzhabov. Did nothing for those names, I'm sure, but we have Radzhabov at 9,000 and Ribovs at 7,200 on DraftKings. The line on this fight is, let me see where they put it, is minus 250 for Radzhabov and plus 200 for Ribovs. This is an interesting situation because I believe Ribovs was a favorite against Kimwell Kirk. Then Radzhabov comes in on short notice and becomes a big favorite. I'm not sure if I've ever seen a line switch like that. I think it's warranted. I like Radzhabov's game a lot. I like this sort of wrestler grappler type who's going to just be relentless. And Kimwell Kirk is sort of a slick jiu-jitsu guy in his own right, but I don't think he's quite as aggressive as a takedown artist as Radzhabov. So that's going to be interesting. Ribovs is a slick puncher. He's fast in combination. He throws hard, but he doesn't have any defense whatsoever. And I haven't really seen him defend a takedown. So I think if he can get put his shots together before he hits the canvas, he might have a chance. He might have that puncher's chance, but I like Loic to come in here as the late replacement, get it done, get a lot of points on DraftKings. So I'm going to be heavily invested in the first fight here. And Drake, we'll go to you first. How you seeing this one?
I'm on the opposite side of things, man. I'm not impressed by Reds at all. I'm just his Eagle FC against the guys on a 4-fight losing streak. It was nothing too impressive. Yeah, Ribovs, his defense is lacking, but he is a slick grappler off of his back. I've watched a few of his fights, and he definitely will have the power and striking difference in this fight. So, and, you know, we've seen it multiple times. Those guys that bull rush right off the bat just come out and waylay somebody. So that's what I expect him to do. Could he be taken down and controlled for, you know, a full round? Absolutely. It is, you know, one of those concerns that you can have. But I like him to come out and lay some power down and, you know, cut that early. So I'm on Ribovs, and, you know, I think he's an excellent play as a GPP.
All right, some disagreement on the first fight. I like it, and you know that's interesting too because you know he's probably a dog that a lot of people will sort of just not give a second look to when you think about this card. First of all, how jam-packed it is in general, 14 fights, and then all the names that are on the card as well. So, you know, if you like Ribovs, and I agree, the power is there. It could be a sneaky dog play. You know, I don't hate it at all. Joey, how about you? How you seeing this?
I'm also on the dog in this fight. Yeah, I think he's the more dangerous guy. He has, you know, 100% finish rate. But, you know, he's still early in his career. He really hasn't really been fully battle tested yet. But I know his most recent opponent now. He came from the PFL. You know, he broke 500, went 4-1. Then he had a tune-up fight in the Eagle FC for Khabib's organization. Pretty much a tune-up to get ready for his debut. Yes, I think the Loki is the more well-rounded. He's a good wrestler. We really haven't seen Ribovs stop a takedown rep, but really no one has really forced it because he really finished the fight. To me, I think there's a dog or pass because I have too many questions on the fight. But one thing I do know about Loki, he is aggressive. He has good cardio, but I just don't like how later on the fight goes, his hands do drop in fights. So with him coming aggressive with his forward pace, he could eat an overhand and potentially get knocked out within the first couple rounds. That's my only worry, but for now, I think it's a dog or pass.
All right, interesting. Coming on the show and disagreeing with the host on the first pick. That's bold. That's bold. I like it. We're gonna move on to the next fight. Is Farid Basharat taking on Damon Blackshear. Where are we here? There we go. Basharat is the favorite at 9,100. Blackshear coming back at 7,100, and it's my turn to pick a dog here. I like Blackshear quite a bit. I think he showed us a lot against Yusuf Salal on short notice. I like how he throws in combination. I like his pressuring. I like how he can mix in wrestling. I like how aggressive he is off his back. I think he's got a really complete game. He really faded in that third round against Salal, but did enough in the first two that, you know, the fight was awarded a draw. I didn't one of those draws I didn't actually hate. You know, Basharat fights a lot like his brother, which is, you know, pressure, looks to throw big shots. But to me, that means that Blackshear is going to have time to work. And look, he can fade again. It's always tough when a guy fades on short notice, whether the fade was due on short notice or if it's just a fade based on, you know, the tempo of the fight. But I think Blackshear is toolsy. I like him. I like him quite a little bit. I think he's the one more apt to put up a score here. I think if Basharat wins, it might just be kind of you know, a blasé kind of decision. So yeah, I'm on Blackshear here, and that'll be my first dog of the play. We'll start with the card rather. We'll start with Joey first. How you seeing this one?
I'm more on Basharat. I think Basharat is the more well-rounded guy. I know Blackshear, he's a good grappler. He's very slick once he does get a hold of his opponent. I know his striking's a little bit low-endish, but he's more of an athletic striker to try to close the distance to get to his grappling, to his bread and butter. But I know Basharat is like his brother, but I honestly think this Basharat brother is the more power, technical striker out of the both brothers. He does have wrestling, but one thing I do worry about that 9,100, I think he may mix in a takedown here and there within the first 3 rounds, but I think he may just try to keep it on the feet and not really get in the world of Blackshear and worry about the overall Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu game of him. So to me, I think I might pass on it because if it's just a pure striking match at 9,100, I don't know if he's going to pay off the main price tag at 91, like where you need to pay up for other big up payout targets.
Yeah, that part, the last part, I agree with. I probably won't have a lot of Basharat just for that reason. And I do agree that it's a dogger. I do agree it's a dogger pass play. Drake, what about you? How you seeing this one?
I'm also against you. I love Basharat. I love both Basharat brothers. They're phenomenal fighters, man. Those guys, the way that they train and the forward pressure that they put, the pace, they have cardio that could go 25 minutes with the style that they fight, and it's just insane. To me, Blackshear is not a UFC level fighter. He belongs back in, elsewhere, a different circuit. Like I said on our show, Blackshear, he's got that chance to grab his neck. He does have slick grappling, but aside from that, I don't see any other way that he wins this fight. So for me, Basharat is definitely the way to go. I think he puts on a blistering pace, and he could easily, score well with a bunch of control time and takedowns.
All right. At this point, I would like to remind everyone here, apropos of nothing, that I do have the ability to kick you guys out of the room if it comes to that. But no, we're doing good. Although that's two disagreements, and no, but that's good. The people like the controversy. Let's move on to the next fight. It's Jessica. Let's go with the favorite first. Tabitha Ricci at 8,900, taking it on Jessica Penne at 7,300. And line on this fight, Ricci can be had for minus 230. Come back on Penne plus 195. And this for me, Ricci at sub 9,000 is one of my better favorite plays on the card. I love Ricci's wrestling. I love how fearless she is. I mean, she fights Polyana Viana, not afraid to take her down, not afraid to go under guard, comes out unscathed. Jessica Penne, credit to her. She's been in this organization almost a decade, still putting up wins. Lost her last fight, but won a couple before that. But it's especially on something even at a dog price for DFS. I just don't see a lot there in her skill set. I mean, she's got a big frame and she can work some jiu-jitsu of her own, but like her striking is just not there. Her aggression is just not there. Quite famously dropped a decision to Daniel Taylor in 2017 just for being wooden and not sort of doing too much. I guess what you could say is when Ricci takes her down, she's going to be putting Penne in the only position where she can win the fight. But if she can outlast Viana on the ground, I don't have any worries that she'll be able to do the same for Jessica Penne. So I like Ricci quite a bit here. And I guess if past is any indication, I'll get ready to hear you guys Jessica Penne picks. But Joey, how you seeing this one?
I'm all over Ricci as well. There's a lot of people are going to try to attack the upper 9K range. I think Ricci could be a good pivot and maybe get a little bit low ownership because there's some of the people that play in the big tournament GPPs. They don't really look towards the female fights, but that's where you can get your leverage in your big tournament plays. Yes, Ricci, I'm waiting for her to get over that 100 score, but she does score a little under 100, her major 2 first wins. But I think Ricci can do what she wants. She's a mean chain wrestler. If in other terms, if people don't know what chain is, she'll go to your body. If she can't get the body, she'll go to your leg. If she can't get the single, she'll go for a trip. She'll go in all kinds of directions for her takedowns. And I think if she gets Penne flat, I think she can go tack a sub. So I like Ricci at 8.9. You can get some leverage on that play, and I'm all over that play.
Yeah, I agree. I expected to see her maybe a little more expensive, so I'm digging the sub 9,000 for sure. Drake, how about you? Drake. Oh no, is Drake frozen?
It looks like it.
Okay. All right, so that's all right. We will maybe I will shoot him a message. I thought he was staring me down, but no.
Oh, there
okay,
he is.
Drake.
Can you hear me?
We got you. Yep.
Oh, that was weird. I don't know what happened. I started talking and I was like, you said it was frozen. I was like, where'd it go?
That's all right. We got you now. So what are your thoughts on this one, Ricci and Penne?
Yeah, no, you guys both nailed it. Ricci is my pick. Absolutely. My hot take will come from this fight later on. I think she's better everywhere this fight goes, whether it's on the feet, on the mat, grappling, striking, everything. And yeah, like you said, sub 9,000. This is an excellent spot to get her. I think she definitely scores at least 95 plus. So yeah, this one's an easy one for me. I absolutely love Ricci.
Yeah, agreed. We all very much agree on that, which kind of makes me nervous that she's doomed to fail, but we will see how that works out. Next fight is Cameron Saman at 8,800 taking on Mana Martinez at 7,400. Line on this fight: Cameron Saman could be had at minus 250. Mana Martinez at plus 200. And I have this thing where I don't exactly trust fighters that come out of the EFC, which is a South African promotion. I broke my rule last week for Themba Greenbow, and he made me pay for it. So I won't make that mistake again. I am going with Mana here. Cameron Saman, I just wasn't impressed by his debut against Stephen Kozlov there. Kozlov was able to get, I think it was 5 or 6 takedowns. Saman was able to explode out of every position, but against some better grapplers, at least some more physically strong grapplers, where you can see Kozlov is not that. I think he'll have more of a trouble. Mana will wrestle. Mana has fire in his hands, 4 knockdowns in his last 2 fights. And Saman is kind of open defensively. He is a slick striker in his own right, but I'm just not going to pay up for it here. I think Mana is underrated. We saw how strong he came on in that debut against the fight. He was losing all the way, almost took it in that 3rd round, and he's a dog, and he's got power. He can wrestle. He can do it all. So I'm taking Mana here, and we'll start with Drake on this one. You taking the dog or the favorite here?
I am actually on Saman, but there was a long discussion with Joey on our show. I love Martinez, I really do, and I do kind of wish that I would have switched back, and switched to him. But when it comes to this fight, I think it's going to be almost 15 minutes of striking, or however long it lasts till somebody gets knocked out. Both guys are really impressive. The thing that worries me now is the weight miss for Mana. That's always a concern, whether it was a bad weight cut or, whatever it is. But I mean, both guys are slick strikers. They both have the cardio to go 15 minutes. So I think it just comes down to whoever lands flush in this one, but I will stick with Saman.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I think either one can go to sleep, but I gotta stick to my guns on this one with the no EFC. So that's what we're doing. Joey, how you seeing this one?
I'm all over Martinez. I didn't like even how against Saman when he had against the grappler, he was still getting touched up on the feet against a guy that has very low end striking. But like I said, he got control on the ground. Mana has low end wrestling, which he doesn't do it for damage. He does it for positioning over damage. So he'll try to hold his opponent down. I know Mana's at a new camp. He's no longer with James Krause. So I think he's getting fresh looks. Maybe his new coaching's like, all right, we're going to bring that more aggressiveness out of you that will got you into the UFC. And as you said, his first fight with Ronnie Lawrence, he was getting controlled. But that 3rd round, he damn near came back and almost finished that fight. And I'll always go someone that's going to fight for my buck. So I'm riding with Martinez. I think, like I said, I'll be shocked if it reached the scorecards. I think somebody will go to sleep eventually, but not many overly confident dogs I'll be on for this card, but as a whole. But I think Martinez is one I'll definitely be attacking.
Absolutely. Agree with you. Okay, we're gonna move on to the next fight, and that is I got myself all thrown off here. Ian Garry at 9,300 versus Song Kanan at 6,900. First glance, I look at the 9,300 for Ian Garry, and I think to myself, and it looks like we lost Drake again. That's okay. We will we'll vamp a little bit till he gets back. But the first thing I think to myself is, Ian Garry can't be 9,300. The guy has no striking defense. He's just a sort of a mess. And as an all-around fighter, but then you go back and you watch his fight against Gabe Green, and against the guy who's just going to come forward against him, and has that length and reach advantage. He really just lit Gabe Green up in a lot of these exchanges, and Song Kanan is going to have some of the same problems. Comes in on the center line, is sort of a blitzing striker, likes to get his finishes early, and that just doesn't seem like a good recipe here. Kanan, of course, we haven't seen him since getting absolutely blitzed by Max Griffin. I think that was 2 years ago now. So the layoff will be a concern as well. It's hard to pay 9,300 for Ian Garry on such a big slate. I think a knockout could materialize here. It's just a matter of when and how many points that scored. You don't want this out of the first round. And like I said, on such a big slate, it's going to be hard for me to get him in. I will have shares of him. As far as Kanan, just not that interested in him. 6,900, throws big power. You want to take a couple of Hail Marys in the GPP, by all means. But my pick's got to be Ian Garry here. And Joey, while we're waiting for Drake, we will go to you first. How you seeing this fight?
Honestly, I'm looking back on Ian Garry's overall history for the UFC. This might be his second easiest fight besides Jordan Williams in his debut. I know Kanan is going to come forward, which who knows, that may be able to favor Garry. He'll be able to let his hands go with his counter striking, and who knows, maybe he can get that first round finish. And that's arguably the only way I see him paying off that 9,300. Yes, Garry does get hit, which is scary, and Kanan does have good power, but I'm not going to rely on a guy at 6,900 to okay, I got to hold my breath until he hopefully lands one clean shot and hope he gets a TKO of a finish. But even at that price, if he does somehow get Garry out, he pays it off with no problem. But I think Garry finishes his fight within the first 2 rounds. But at 9,300, I'm not a fan of that price tag because there's times where Garry does dance around. He'll use his kicks, use basic 1-2s to jump in and out. But if it's pretty much Garry round 1 or bust, because besides that, there's no way I see him paying off the 93.
Yeah, it's a tough ask. The other side of that, though, is, we talk about pay up scarcity sometimes, and I think Garry could qualify here. I think a lot of folks are going to be, I think what we just expressed is going to be the common mindset. And so, could get some nice leverage play on Garry there if that first round finish does indeed materialize. But like we both said, it needs to materialize. It's first round or bust. So, GPPs only, of course. And look, potential for 60-second bonus. In all honesty, I think that is a potential here. You would never angle for that. And I'm not giving away my hot take. That's not something that I am prognosticating. But I do think that he's worth a squeeze in certain GPPs. We're still without Drake.
So I got a message by him actually. He said, I don't know what's going on, but he said he got kicked out.
Oh, he got. I swear I was joking before. I didn't actually kick him. Can you ask him to try to get in again?
Yeah, I'll ask him. I'm actually texting him right now. See if you can get.
Sorry, folks. The wonders of live podcasting.
Boom.
Okay. You know what? I think I'm trying to decide. Maybe we'll just move on and go back. This fight, I think, there's not too much analysis. I don't think Drake was about to give us a dissertation on why we should pick Song Kanan. So we'll move on to the next fight, which is an interesting one because of how closely lined the salaries are. We got Marc-Andre Barriault at 8,200 taking on Julian Marquez at 8,000. Line on this fight, Marc-Andre Barriault can be had for minus 125, Julian Marquez plus 105. So not only is Marquez my play, but he was also one of my bet write-ups for this week. I like him a lot in this spot, and that is my hot take, but I won't give it away completely. Julian Marquez is a fighter I like in spots like these, especially against guys like Barriault, because Barriault is going to come and look. I feel like I know Barriault is one of those guys that I don't really need to tape study for. Here comes Drake. Drake, how we doing, bud?
I don't know what happened. It kicked me out and then it didn't want to let me back in.
That's all right. I gave it a talking to. We're good now. But we were on Garry versus Song Kanan. Do you want to give us a quick little breakdown for that? I don't imagine you have much to say picking Kanan or anything, but just give us your thoughts on that.
Definitely, yeah, real quick. Yeah, I'm definitely not on Kanan. But I will say that I am currently not the biggest fan of Garry, and I don't like his fighting style. I don't think it's going to last long in the UFC unless he decides to come out a little quicker. Should he win this fight? Absolutely. But Kanan is really dangerous, and there is always a chance that he does land flush on Garry and surprises everybody. So Gary's definitely the pick, but like I said, I'm just not the biggest fan of him right now.
Right. No, and I think that's the consensus. We're all picking Garry, but it's going to be a fireworks fight. So a couple of GPP squeezes on Kanan. If you're making multiple lineups, I say go for it. Otherwise, it's Garry. But right now, we're talking about Julian Marquez and Marc-Andre Barriault. And what I was saying was Marc-Andre Barriault is one of those fighters that I like when he's on cards because I don't have to do any tape study on him whatsoever. I know exactly how he fights. I know exactly what his win conditions are. He wants to grind you up against the fence, really try to suck the life out of you. When you're tired, he's going to try to put hands on you. The Abu Azaitar fight is like his perfect fight. He grinds you down, and then gets a late finish. The problem here for me is that Julian Marquez is probably just as, if not more physical than Marc-Andre Barriault. And also, Julian Marquez has 3 submission attempts per 15 minutes of octagon time. He doesn't have a takedown in the UFC. So this guy is really opportunistic, really tries to grab the neck. And I just have this vision of like both guys are tired. They're up against the fence. Marquez grabs the neck and rolls for an anaconda or sits for the guillotine and gets it there. Marc-Andre Barriault, they call him power bar, but it's not as though he doesn't get tired. He was plenty tired in that Azaitar fight. He's just able to push through a lot better than these opponents. And you look at his wins. Azaitar is by far the best one. The other two are Dalcha Lungambula and Jordan Wright are no longer in the organization. 1-round meme fighters, if you will. So not too much on that end. And I just like Marquez, as I said, to probably grab a late submission, but also throw a little cleaner and harder when they are at range. So my pick is Marquez, and I like him quite a bit here. And we'll go back to Drake and kind of double dip. How are you seeing this one?
Yeah, Joey and I disagreed on this one as well. And my whole point of this fight was I would have been on Marquez had he shown any takedown ability at all. He prefers to be taken down and then, grapple away from there. If you were to tell me that he was going to come out and shoot for something or put this down on the mat, I'd be all over him. But in a 15-minute striking match, if he's unable to grab anything, I like Barriault. And I think that's how it plays out.
Interesting. All right, Joey, give us the other side. Give us the disagreement.
Yeah, I'm on Marquez. Ever since Barriault got absolutely put to sleep against Endra Kawani, I know he's the times where, yes, I think he's the better fluent striker out of Marquez. He's going to throw in the more straight punches while Marquez throws the more overhands, the more power. But one thing I didn't like, I know that he got absolutely manhandled by Fluffy Hernandez. Not much of a wrestler, but he has a little bit. Not much of a wrestler, but he showed improving takedowns. Outside the UFC, Marquez did show takedowns. He attacked the legs, even against Halls when he was on the Contender Series before he landed that mean head kick. He was showing that, okay, I got no problem attacking the legs, switching levels for going for takedowns or trips. He does have it in his back pocket. Hopefully, after watching that Fluffy Hernandez fight, he gets to it, because if he gets one takedown, I think he can flatten out Barriault, and then I think he gets a sub anytime he wants, or even a ground pound of a sort. So I'm hoping that he watches that Fluffy fight and then he gets that early finish. Because usually, if you look at the optimal, they always say that 8,000 fights, one of the more important fights to target. So I say you can pick your poison if you feel a side for this fight, but I'm all over Marquez.
So part of my hot take then, I guess, would be he might not get a takedown. He might not need one.
Mm-mm.
So we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. Moving on to the next fight here, we have Viviane Araujo taking on Amanda Ribovs. Ribovs 8,300 on DraftKings. Araujo coming back at 7,900. Odds for this fight, we have Ribovs at -130, Araujo at +110. And I don't know how you guys feel. I feel this is a line that could easily be flipped. I think Araujo is exactly the kind of fighter that Ribovs struggles with, as more sort of a more physical, more powerful, but also athletic fighter who goes for takedowns. Ribovs going to get in the pocket, going to throw, but going to stay on the center line and going to try to get all those head and arm throws. And I just think the stronger fighter, the better athlete, might just have a field day here, particularly if Ribovs decides to, just stand in front again. We've seen her pay for that before, certainly, and I think Araujo is another one who can do it. I love her at dog odds. I love her at 7,900 in this spot. So my pick is Araujo. We'll go to Joey first. Joey, how you seeing this one?
My pick was Ribovs. I know she's coming up. Now she's staying at 125. She used to be a 115er for a while. Both of the girls actually have a loss to Caitlin Chuchakian. But, Ribovs' first fight I know Drake doesn't like that because it was a close fight. But ideally, Ribovs showed improvement at 125 against Chuchakian. Besides, Chuchakian, every time she threw a jab, she screams like she's playing tennis and crap. But, hey, that's not the point. But ideally, these two almost ideally mirror each other. They both got their own type of takedowns. Araujo is more of a, slightly wrestling, while Ribovs is more of a judo where I'm going to clinch up and I'm going to judo throw you to the side. But ideally, they both have good takedown defense. Who's the more powerful type of fighter? I think it's Araujo. I think Ribovs is more, like you said, I think she's going to be like in phone booth type of boxing. But if there's no takedowns and this is like a 15-minute, let's say, striking fight, I don't see either one paying off for DraftKings. But I understand, like, if I had to pick a side for DK, I'd maybe say Araujo because I think she will be the stronger fighter. That 5-round experience against Grasso could maybe help her cardio because other people think, she had cardio issues going back and forth. But I think this could be a close fight, maybe in the clinch. I think they could maybe get their ideal takedowns on their own terms. It wouldn't shock me if some sort of a split decision happens in this fight.
All right, Drake, how you seeing this one? You think it's a close split, or do you have a definitive take on this one?
It's absolutely close, but I'm the other way. I think Ribovs is going to be the stronger one, and I think her judo is what makes the difference in this fight because you watch these two fight, and Ribovs loves to put this thing up against the cage, throw you over, and put you down. And she had problems with that against Chuchakian because of how tall and big she is. Well, she's not going to have that issue in this fight. And the way that I see it is I think it's going to be 2-3 minutes of striking right off the bat, clinch up, judo throw, and I think she submits her in the first or second.
Wow. That could be good enough for a hot take right there, but we'll see. I don't know. So interesting. Very interesting stuff. Moving on to the next fight. It's maybe the funniest fight on the card, potentially, is Dricus du Plessis at 8,700 taking on Derek Brunson at 7,500. Odds on this fight: du Plessis can be had for -250. Derek Brunson coming at +200. Those odds kind of shocked me a little bit, but Dricus du Plessis, I don't know if people are in the Twitterverse and they caught the little clip going around of Dricus du Plessis trying to do a lateral drop, I think, of Brad Tavares and just pulling Tavares on top of him. Kind of exemplifies the kind of fighter du Plessis, just really wild, really unstructured. Will try anything, will do anything, but oftentimes just sort of looks really unmoored, like kind of he doesn't know what he's doing. He also has the breathing technique, which is just how he says he breathes, it looks to me like he's tired, but he tends to fight. I don't know anything that's going on about his game really, but I will say that it's hard for me to pick him in most fights. I thought he had a really good matchup against Till, and all I could do was kind of give a tepid maybe, because I've never seen a guy with as many fights as he has fight like him. I think he's got 20 fights, and it just looks like a mess. Derek Brunson, since he's been with Henry Hooft, has really calmed down his striking. But when he gets tired, I think that those demons can still come out, and he can still sort of look like a mess. Obviously, extremely strong, extremely good wrestler. So I think probably how this plays out is he gets a takedown early. The question is what happens after that. If Duplessis can hang around and Brunson can get tired, then maybe Duplessis takes over, because I do think Duplessis is the better man to fight tired. And that is a skill that I think we shouldn't overlook. But just generally, in terms of the power, the wrestling ability, the grappling ability, I have to give it to Brunson. And the line is scaring me because it's kind of making me think, well, what do these people know that I don't? But I got to go with it. I got to pick Brunson here to get his takedowns and control on top and be the smothering fighter. And Drake, we'll go to you first. Am I crazy? Are the bookmakers crazy? How are you seeing this?
No, you're crazy. I think that Duplessis should be a higher favorite. Let me put it this way. Dricus Duplessis is the best unorthodox fighter the UFC has seen. And I say that because his style, like you said, is so unbelievably weird, but he has mastered it. The way he comes in, while he was striking with Till, he was beating him. Anybody can wrestle Till. That's just a given. That's what he needs to work on. But Derek Brunson, the way he has been, that 5-fight winning streak that he went on, he was winning it by resorting to takedowns and getting on top and kind of just controlling. Problem with that is you're not going to be able to do that with Duplessis. Duplessis does actually have really good wrestling. He is slick on the mat, and even if Brunson does take him down, it's only going to be once or twice. It'd probably be in the first or second round if it lasts that long. Duplessis should easily be able to get back up. And then I love Duplessis on the feet. I think Brunson gets manhandled in this fight. Just absolutely smashed. I love that Duplessis is less than 9K. He's one of my favorite plays on the card.
Wow. All right. Joe, I see you nodding in agreement. So let's hear it. Why is Duplessis the pick here?
I'll say this before I get into the pick. If I didn't see Brunson absolutely control Cannonier and then in a flash of an eye just get clipped and his legs went jello and get knocked out, I would be all over Brunson. Because ideally, people don't know Brunson. He actually came up as a good striker. And then the last 6 fights, he has a combined, I believe, 23 takedowns in 6 fights. So he's definitely winding up well, being more well-rounded. But I'll say this. If Duplessis comes in similar to Darren Till and throws that many punches in round 1, it's not going to last long. I think he could actually, if you really want to make a quick example of Brunson, he blitz him, gets him against the cage, do similar-ish to like Rob Whittaker did, get him all curled up, let him fall, get an early TKO. It wouldn't shock me if he gets a round 1 KO. As Drake said, I'm actually high on Duplessis, but I'm waiting for him to actually go against a more dangerous, well-rounded guy that I think he's going to get manhandled. But I'm all over Duplessis at 8,700.
Wow. We have disagreements on the show. This might be the biggest gulf we've ever had because I really like Brunson. You guys really like Duplessis. So I'm going to be watching this fight a little extra closely, but I promise not to rub it in too badly if Brunson ends up getting the W. But that'll be interesting. A little more intrigue into the fight. Why not? All right. Next up, we have Cody Garbrandt at 8,500 taking on Trevin 5-Star Jones at 7,700. The line on this fight, Cody Garbrandt. Where are you, Cody Garbrandt? Cody Garbrandt is a -160 favorite. The comeback on Trevin Jones +140. And I'll just be honest, I can't pick Cody Garbrandt to win fights anymore. I just can't do it. if he could fight, if he could like bottle his first 3 minutes of every fight where he comes out jabbing and throwing low kicks and using his movement, he would be the guy who could challenge for the bantamweight title again. The problem is that he has like a self-destruct mechanism now, and either it comes in the form of him getting too excited or because he's doing well, or he's doing poorly and he gets angry and he just starts throwing and gets absolutely clipped. I'll never forget the Pedro Munhoz fight where like there's probably never been a bigger speed differential between two competitors, and he just stood in front of him and watched himself get knocked out. And Trevin Jones, I mean, look, definitely not a perfect fighter, but I think sound defensively, and I think a really good counter striker. I think he's going to frustrate Cody, and I think when Cody gets frustrated, we're going to see that switch flip, and Cody might throw a few right hands in a row, and Trevin Jones is good enough to capitalize on that counter. Trevin Jones, very tough. We saw that in his first fight with Timur Valiev, where it looked like he could have been finished multiple times, actually came back and finished Timur, and then finished Mario Batista, which is a very good-looking win in retrospect. So I'm pretty high on Trevin Jones here, as high as you can be for not really liking somebody as a fighter all that much. But I like Garbrandt less, and I think Jones has the tools to get this done. And Joey, we'll start with you first. Are you taking the former bantamweight champion or 5-star to get this done?
So I grew up being a big Garbrandt guy, but I think he needs to go find his chin first before this fight even steps into the octagon. But if he actually goes back to his credentials of where he started at first, which is a wrestler under Uriah Faber, he can actually control this fight some. But I don't think he is. I think what he needs to do is shorten his strikes up. Don't go too wild, because if he just shortens up, goes with his 1-2s and his kicks, and tries to avoid that counter of Jones, he can honestly probably win a point decision. And if that's the point he's going to win, I'm not touching 8,500. But my pick is Garbrandt, but Jones is not a bad GPP play because he is a BJJ black belt, which not many people actually know. He doesn't use much of, but he does have a mean counter power punch. And if Garbrandt, as you said, his destruct button goes off, he's going to think, oh, snap, I got him hurt. He's going to walk into a mean counter, and then we may have to see Garbrandt just go ahead and get cut from the UFC at this point. I hope not. My pick is Garbrandt, but if you're playing GPP, I'm not going to tell you to get off Jones because he is a live guy at any point just to land one shot and Garbrandt sleeping.
And that's the weirdest part, isn't it? Because it's like some guys, okay, they either when they do well or they do poorly, but when Garbrandt, he can't win either way. When he's doing well, he destructs, and when he's doing poorly, he destructs. So I don't know where the win condition is. But Drake, it seems like you agree. Tell me about Trevin Jones in this spot.
Yeah, no, Garbrandt, it's useless to me at this point. I find nothing about his game that I enjoy anymore. I love Trevin Jones. I think he is an underrated fighter. I think all of the fights that he's been in have been actually really good opponents. Barcelos, Sadyokub, and Basharat. I mean, they're all guys that are up and coming. They're all doing great. And in that Sadyokub fight, he controlled him for almost 2/3 of the fight. So, I mean, he's got wrestling. He's got, he has a black belt in BJJ. He's got grappling, and he is going to be the better striker. He may not be faster. He doesn't throw a whole ton of volume. That's the only part that worries me. But Garbrandt's chin just isn't there. And I feel like if Garbrandt wants to come out quickly, Trevin Jones will resort to his grappling. And we may see him, trip him and then put him down on the mat. So I'm all over Trevin Jones. I think Garbrandt is, it's crappy to say, but I think he's washed up now. He's got no chin left. There's just nothing left to his game. And like you said, he gets frustrated and then becomes a low IQ fighter, and it's going to be the difference.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. We are about to start the main card, but before we do that, we're going to take a break for our audio podcast listeners. So if you are listening audio, we will be right back after this. All right, moving on to the main card. It is the phenom prospect, the national champion wrestler Bo Nickal at 9,600 taking on Nightwolf Jamie Pickett at 6,600. Line on this fight is comical. It is Bo Nickal at where it doesn't even want to show me in some places as high as minus 2,000, but we'll go with minus 1,400. The comeback on Jamie Pickett plus 850. And look, I believe in Bo Nickal as much as you can believe in a guy who's a minus 1,600 favorite with 3 fights. Let me just say that. I have the urge whenever I just see that combination to instinctively want to pick the dog, but I can't do it here. Jamie Pickett has been so underwhelming in his time in the octagon. He's got some bad losses. I mean, it's not a good look to get knocked out by Dennis Talulin, who's a 9-7 fighter. He's been taken down and controlled by people who aren't wrestlers, including Joe Holmes. And I just think Bo Nickal's going to have his way here. Nickal, he's not just your typical wrestler. He's got very slick jiu-jitsu. I love how he feints. He feints all the time, which is going to be key for him to disguise his shots. He's incredibly athletic, and Jamie Pickett is just sort of this slow counter fighter who has some of his own wrestling. I don't think he would use it here anyway, but even if you wanted to try, 30% takedown accuracy. So, I mean, Pickett has a lot of knockouts on his resume in the regional scene, so that power is there somewhere, and he could land it. But I hate because I'm always known as the dog guy, but I'm picking the minus 1,600 here. I've become everything I've ever hated. Bo Nickal has got to be the play, and 9,600 is a lot, but it wouldn't surprise me if the script for this fight is like takedown, Pickett scrambles a little bit, gets back up, takedown again, and then sub. So multiple takedowns and a first round sub wouldn't surprise me at all. I think Nickal has to be a consideration, a lineup piece, despite the big price. I like him quite a bit here. We'll start with Drake first. Drake, how you seeing this one?
You nailed it on the head. It's unfortunate. I wish they would have given Nickal somebody that actually mattered. Just something to challenge him, because Pickett is not it. I will if there's one thing going for Pickett, and you want to throw $10 on something, do $10 for him to knock him out in the first 60 seconds, because that's the only way Pickett wins this fight. And that's where it's at. I mean, Nickal's going to take him down, control him. And like you said, even if he gets back up, it's going to be, rinse and repeat submission until that, I don't like going with favorites that big either, but I mean, it's just the obvious play, because Pickett has just not been great.
Yeah, no, I agree. Joey, I assume you have the Nightwolf pick, and so we'll move on to the next fight, which is tell us why Bo Nickal is going to win this fight, please.
He's going to win this fight because he's the better pure athlete. He's easily one of the best wrestlers of all time, especially coming out of Penn State. None against Pickett. Yes, Pickett is a long, rangy guy. If Pickett wants any chance to win this fight, he's going to have to wait to see Bo Nickal rush in. And if I'm him, the whole training camp, I'm working with hard uppercuts and hard knees as soon as he tries to shoot in. But one thing I know Bo Nickal's going to try to do, which I wouldn't shock him because he is the athlete. What if the first minute, which I'm hoping, he tries to show off, his feints, as you said. Maybe he tries to work in a strike to get in to the blast double. I'm hoping he does that in the first minute, because if he gets his fight down in the first minute, as soon as he flattens up Pickett, the fight's over. As soon as he gets on the back, the fight won't last long. He's going to get a rear naked choke, which I'm guessing, and he's going to flatten him out and win this fight. Hopefully it's not under 60 seconds, because if it is, we know he's going to absolutely kill that price tag at 96.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's funny. I'm not part of the fight, but I'm looking past this opponent to the next one. Hopefully Bo Nickal is not, but we'll see.
A lot of people are calling him out.
Yeah, no, it's true.
I hope one of my good friends fight him. I want my man Andre Petrovsky to do it. He's been calling that fight for a long time.
That would be. See, I want to see that now. I wish that was happening tomorrow.
Andre's been calling it out for a long time before he came in.
Oh, see, now you got me excited. I love that fight. Hopefully we see that next. But here we go. Moving on is Matus Gamrot at 8,600 taking on Tarantula Jalen Turner at 7,600. Line on this fight. Gamrot can be had minus 220. Jalen Turner plus 180. Still kind of, I think, a bit of a wonky line, but I am going Gamrot here. Matt Varrola just had too much success with the single legs in their fight, and that's what Gamrot loves to do. Gamrot also very durable. Not only has he never been knocked out in his career, I can't recall him being hurt in any significant way either. So I think he's going to be tough enough to withstand the big strikes on his way in, and just kind of put on a grappling clinic here. I think Turner may make a mistake and try to scramble a bit too much with Gamrot here, which could open some doors as well. But 8,600, almost right smack in this mid-range for a guy at Gamrot who's just going to be relentless with takedowns the entire fight. I mean, he's one of the plays I really like as a favorite. Joe, I'll throw it over to you first. How do you see this one?
Drake knows me best than anything. These are actually two of my favorite prospects at 155. I did like the run that Turner was getting, and I was hoping Dan Hooker would last in this fight because I thought Turner was going to absolutely steamroll Dan Hooker.
Yeah, he would.
I give Turner credit for actually sticking to this fight, actually trying to stick with the top, 6 guys in the division. But Gamrot's easily a top 3 wrestler at 155. If you're not stopping actual takedowns from Pravola, who's more of a well-rounded-ish type of dude, I'm sorry, I don't know who the hell you're bringing into your camp to even try to gimmick Gamrot. And as you said, he got taken down from the single leg. One thing that I love from Gamrot does, not many wrestlers do nowadays, he does weird push-forward ankle trips. He'll get your hold of your ankle, and he'll legit pull you like you're getting pulled from a rug until you fall on your back. And then he gets in side mount. Then he works for position and gets for dominant position and looks for his TKO or ground and pound. Gamrot is probably my favorite play at 8,600 because, like I said, early finish, he pays it off. If you're telling me for 3 rounds, he's going to go takedown, control, even at a 3-round decision, he should easily pay off 8,600.
Yeah, no, I agree. I love that price. I think it's really, really appetizing. Drake, I take it this is unanimous.
Absolutely. There is levels to this game, and Gamrot is way above Turner. You can't tell me that the 4-fight winning streak that he's on in the UFC between Riddell, Malarkey, Medic, and Weaver has prepared him, the last 4 fights, has prepared him for Matus Gamrot. There's just no part of this that tells me Turner can win this fight. Gamrot is extremely intelligent. He does not put himself in compromised situations, which is not the case for a lot of fighters. Turner's slick. He's a good fighter. Don't get me wrong, but I think this is just too much too soon, and Gamrot will be, top 5, if not champion in the future. Right? He is top 5, but I can see him getting to that belt.
Yeah, no, agreed. Okay, moving on to the heart of the pay-per-view card now. We have Shavkat Rakhmonov at 9,200 taking on Jeff Neal at 7,000. Line on this fight. Rakhmonov can be had at minus 500, Neal at plus 400. And look, I know how dominant he's been. This line is just too wide for me. He's never gonna have faced a guy as fast or explosive or as powerful as Neal. He ragdolled a couple of opponents. That's fine. I need to see him do it here before I can pick him here at this price. So look, I'm not doubting that he can go and take Neal down and do the same thing. Neal doesn't always have the best balance in his strikes, sometimes falls into clinches. That's definitely a concern. But Neal's just too good a fighter based on what Shavkat has been fighting to be that big of a dog here. So consider this maybe a strategic play against the line more than anything else. But I'm on Jeff Neal in this spot. And we'll go to Joey first. Joey, I take it by the face that you just made that you don't quite agree. What's your take on this one?
No, so I actually told Drake like an hour before the show. I was like, I kind of want to go with my heart over my head, and he's telling me I will pretty much smack the living daylight out of you if you do so. You can see him, that's why he's bobbling his head like a bobblehead. But ideally, Neal is, I don't like the line, that is a bit disrespectful. Neal is, I think, actually going into his prime. He absolutely dominated Vicente Luque. Like I said, for the most part, Neal does have good takedown defense. You know, what I'm hoping in this fight, I would love to see a slugfest between these two guys. I know apparently Rakhmonov has been talking through Twitter to Neal, running his mouth, calling him this and that. But I tell Drake this. I think if Neal can keep it on the feet, I think it's a 3-round potential fight of the night. But my pick currently is Rakhmonov, though. But my heart, I would love Neal to win this fight. I'm a Jeff Neal guy. But I'm on Rakhmonov.
Just for reference, Jeff Neal, 80% takedown defense rate in the octagon. Luckily, I don't know Drake in real life, so he won't smack me for taking.
He's got to come to the East Coast to try it, but hey.
Yeah. So I'm relatively safe, I think. And also, Sean's not here to tell me what a big idiot I am. But Drake, we'll go to you first, and I think you're going to tell me why Shavkat's going to win this fight. So convince me, why is this Shavkat's fight?
Neal's takedown defense is 80% because he hasn't fought a wrestler or a grappler. Go look at everything he's fought. He hasn't really fought any. Bilal Muhammad, when he fought him, Bilal stayed on the feet. You can go and look at it. He has not fought somebody of the caliber of grappling as Rakhmonov. So starting with that, when he came into the UFC in 2020, I told Joey he was going to be a future contender for the belt. And I said that in his very first fight, and I will stick to my guns. He is an extremely impressive fighter. He is good everywhere. There's a reason he's 16-0 with 8 knockouts and 8 submissions. Neal does have knockout power. There's no doubt about it. Could he catch him? Absolutely. This is UFC, MMA. It happens all the time. One huge thing that worries me is the 5-pound weight miss for Jeff Neal. I also saw something on Twitter that said his manager was concerned that Neal may not even fight. And then it was released a little bit later that he was still fighting. So that is a concern for me. I do worry about one of that fight, like being called off in the middle of a card again, because that seems to be happening far too much. But yeah, I'm all over Rakhmonov. He's one of my favorite, fighters right now. So definitely on him. And I think he gets it done again.
All right. Well, this is sort of a different disagreement because I don't disagree that this could just be a run over, and I would totally have expected it. But sometimes you just got to play the line. What can I say? All right. Next fight coming up is our first title fight and the co-main event. It is Valentina Shevchenko 9,400 taking on Alexa Grasso at 6,800. And I'm not really much for these takes that it's like Grasso's better on the ground now because she was able to sub Joanne Calderwood or Joanne Wood, as it were, now. A lot of people have done that, and people you don't expect to have done that. Shevchenko is a really good grappler, a very underrated grappler. And for all the talk of Grasso being a good boxer, and she is, when faced with a boxer, I will always go with the kickboxer first. And that's Shevchenko. I think her command of range is excellent. I think the kicks are going to give Grasso all sorts of problems here. I think people saw her struggle against Talia Santos, and maybe there's some carryover and to that, and people are sort of forgetting what she can do to fighters who aren't on her level. I think she's gonna remind people. I think this is an easy Valentina win, and I think despite the price and the big card, you have to look at her because all she does these days is get takedowns. I mean, at least 3 in her last 5 fights. She just loves it. She loves using her size at this weight class, and we should love it for DraftKings. So I'm on Shevchenko here. Don't really think there's going to be much disagreement, but let's see. Joey, we'll go to you first. How you seeing this one?
I'm also on Shevchenko, but before I say anything, I know our hearts, me and Drake's heart, is going for Grasso, but I just don't see a chance in a hell unless she does some Juliana Pena bull rush with some jabs like she did against Nunes, but I don't see it happening. But I think Shevchenko is, as Drake says, levels. There's levels to the game. I think Shevchenko with the leg kicks are gonna, use her range. And when Grasso tries to get close with her striking, it wouldn't shock me if Shevchenko changes levels, gets a hold of the body, and takes her down for time control. What I'm hoping is, even at 9,400, I'm still locking her in my lineup for DraftKings. I would love to see this fight go 5 and her just rack up points and points and points of takedowns, control, and have her easily smash her value at 94.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I actually think that's probably one of the most likely scenarios here, and certainly what I'm banking on. Drake, what about you? How do you see this one?
If this was a 25-minute boxing match, I'd probably be on Grasso. But it's not. This is MMA, and Shevchenko just has far more tools than Grasso has. Grasso really only has her striking. It's an easy pick, Shevchenko for the win.
Yeah, I agree, and I actually wish Shevchenko would just go fight Amanda Nunes again because I don't think there's too much to her.
No, I will say this because I said this when she came into the UFC. I said she was going to get the belt. Blanchfield is coming for it. You can have me on the show when that happens.
Right.
Same. Sure. That's my girl from Jersey.
Sure. No, that's true. And we'll see what happens because Shevchenko is being awfully dismissive, but we will see. Okay, it is time for the main event, the much anticipated and finally coming to heavyweight, Jon Jones at 8,400, taking on Ciryl Gane 7,800. Line on this fight, Jones can be had at -150, Ciryl Gane at +130. And the more I thought about this fight, the more I think it's Gane's fight to lose for a few reasons. Number one, and maybe my biggest thing, I think we would all agree with the premise that it's a binary fight. If it's striking, Gane's gonna win. If it's grappling, if Jones is successful in his grappling, he's gonna win. We've seen time and time again, fighters coming up in weight, they struggle getting takedowns. Most recently, we saw it with Tatiana Suarez, who was just simply beasting everyone before her injury, and then had trouble taking down Montana De La Rosa and had to resort to, judo throws, which is not really what she does. She's more of a classical wrestler. Countless other examples, Luke Rockhold, Jan Blachowicz, et cetera. So that's number one. Number two is, I'm questioning why this is happening now. Like, a time for a super fight would have been either when Stipe was holding the belt or coming up and doing something with Ngannou. Now he's got all these competitors at light heavyweight, and he wants to go to heavyweight to fight Ciryl Gane, the guy who just lost to the champion, who's no longer here, but that's another story. So to me, that says that he's doing this because he has to do it. He feels like he has to come up in weight. We saw his last two fights at light heavyweight didn't go that well. People always talk about Dominic Reyes probably won the fight. Thiago Santos actually took a scorecard, which I don't disagree with. So I think Jones has always been able to cover up his sort of deficiencies as a range kickboxer with just how good of a grappler he is at light heavyweight with his size and his physicality. And the other thing to consider here too, now he's going to have to carry this frame for 25 minutes potentially. Never done that before. There's just way too many question marks here. And I think people doing Jon Jones, picking Jon Jones in this spot, especially doing it so convincingly, are just relying on, GOAT magic. Like, oh, he's Jon Jones, so he's going to win. I just don't see it. I think there are too many advantages in Gane's favor. He's a slick kickboxer. He's athletic, moves around like a middleweight. I just think there's going to be such a gulf in the striking, and I don't think the takedown attempts are going to be there. It's not like he had great success taking down Dominic Reyes in their fight. So all that said, I'm on Gane very solidly in this spot. And Drake, we'll throw it to you for the main event. How you seeing the 5-rounder play out here?
The second that this was announced, I told Joey I was all over Gane. I don't trust Jon Jones at all. You brought up his last 2 fights. Reyes absolutely won that fight, and I think a lot of a lot of people, like you said, are on Jones because of his name. He makes his return. It's been 3 years, and they want to see what they saw in him, before. He weighed in today at 248. It's a weight that he's not. You can't tell me he's comfortable with it because he hasn't fought at it. Who knows how his cardio is going to look. And, a lot of his success came from being the bigger person and the more rangier person at light heavyweight. He's now going against guys that are, built for heavyweight. I don't think Jon Jones was really built for it. I really don't. He matches up with, height wise and, obviously now his weight matches, but Gane is going to be twice as fast as him. He's going to throw more strikes. He's going to be more quicker on the feet. He's been fighting at this. He knows, how heavyweight works. I think Jon Jones is a lot of talk and a lot of people, kind of just flock to him because it's him. I'm all over Gane. I absolutely love him. I don't like Jon Jones as a person. I don't like him as a fighter. And, for me, I hope Ciryl Gane knocks him out within the first 2 rounds. I would absolutely love to see it.
And I second that. I would love to see it as well. Because if he wins and sticks around, then we have to deal with Jon Jones for God knows how long. So,
well, and see, I brought this up with Joey. I said, if Jon Jones loses this fight, where does he go after this? Who does he fight? Does he go back down? Does he stay and fight Pavlovich? Who's going to knock him out?
Yeah.
There's a lot of questions that go into this fight. So I think he's making a mistake. 1, taking this fight and doing this fight, and 2, moving to heavyweight. Yeah,
no, I agree completely. I think, I think probably he has more success against guys like Ankalaev, who are primarily going to grab. I mean, Ankalaev has striking too, but where he can just actually sort of grapple, whereas this is going to be a striking match. Joey, how you seeing this fight? Take us home, my friend.
I'm all over Gane as well. As you said, you pretty much your whole breakdown pretty much damn near took everything out of my mouth. I thought that fight with Reyes should have been a split. They gave him a unanimous. Santos, I did agree. I thought Santos damn near could have won that fight. 1 judge card did give it to him. Okay, then you give him a punching dummy in Anthony Smith, who is pretty much getting touched up by everybody. Then I know he got overturned against DC, but pretty much his last, 3 wins. Anthony Smith, iffy at 205. Santos is now in I believe, the PFL.
Yeah.
And now Reyes, I don't know where the hell his chin went the last 3-4 fights, but it's definitely not on his chin. But, yeah, I'm all over Gane because if Jones doesn't go for takedowns, and I mean, if he doesn't get that first takedown, I think that's just overall going to boost the confidence of Gane. And Gane might just let his hands go, similar to like he did to Avasa. But, Jones is the longer guy, so I think Gane's going to have to go in, out to actually get his timing of his strikes. But it wouldn't shock me if Gane absolutely tears up those chicken legs Jon Jones got. It's crazy. Big body, still got them chicken legs. It wouldn't shock me if he keeps kicking and kicking and kicking. And then once he works up and just open up overhands and kicks to the head, it wouldn't shock me if Gane finishes his fight within 3. Because I'll tell you right now, if it goes 5, I don't trust the judges.
Yeah. Oh, right. Sure.
I want to add something in. So a lot of people were saying that, talking about how Francis Ngannou was able to take down Ciryl Gane. Well, I'm going to make something really clear for people. Ngannou, when he weighs in at the heavyweight max, 265. He's usually about 280 on fight night. Mm-hmm. That's about 30 pounds more than Gane. Yeah. So to take him down and hold him down is really easy. We saw Izzy move up a division, and we saw him get completely controlled by Blachowicz because the weight difference was huge. Mm-hmm. Gane wasn't ready for it. Jon Jones and Ciryl Gane weigh the same. They're the same height. They weigh the same. And I fully expect Gane to be completely ready for whatever Jon Jones is going to throw out. So take the Ngannou takedowns with a grain of salt because it's throw it out. It's nothing.
Well, the other thing I'd say about that is we saw Francis Ngannou get controlled by a wrestler, and then the next time they fought, he out-wrestled the wrestler. Yeah. So I think people are underestimating just how good Francis Ngannou is at MMA. Not just his attributes, but he's like the Terminator's a learning computer. That's how I feel like Ngannou is. Like he can incorporate something, and in 2 months he'll come back and he's a different guy. It's scary,
Absolutely.
and it's and it's a shame that he's not going to be here anymore. Hopefully, maybe he'll do a big boxing match, and Dana will see dollar signs again and come around. But all right, so that is the show. We are going to do hot takes now. If you're new to the show, if you have a hot take, which is a long odds play that you think is going to come in nice and spicy, put it in chat. We'll post them up. We're going to say ours here. I kind of gave mine away earlier. Plus 400 submission for Julian Marquez is way too high, and he's got perfect conditions for it. The only thing that could make this better if he were an actual wrestler, as you guys said. I still think he gets it done. Plus 400. Give me all the sweet money. Drake, hot take. You got one ready for us?
Tabitha Ricci, win by submission, plus 450. Give
That's
it to me.
one. I like that too. All right, so we're keeping in the spirit here. I like it. Joey, what do you got for us?
Mana Martinez to win by knockout, TKO, plus 650.
If all of this happens, I will have a good night. So I'm rooting for all of this. And I think it's very likely. All right. I think that is going to wrap us up. I want to thank Drake. I want to thank Joey. It was a great time, great analysis. I would expect nothing less. Thank you so much for coming on. Make sure to follow Drake and Joey. And guys, I'll throw it to one of you, either one. You want to tell us where you can find you guys?
Yeah, you can find us Facebook or YouTube. Our page is It's Time Picks. You can find us on either one of those. We put up a show we record every Thursday night, posted on Friday mornings. And it's similar to this. We kind of it's a breakdown of each fight, and we go over our best plays, dogs, hot takes. It's a good time. It's a good show, and like I said, it's just another breakdown for people. We really try to do as much research as we can. We watch a lot of fights, and we put our best forward. So
absolutely. So go check these guys out. They know what they're talking about. I'm sure they showed you that here. Guys, thank you so much once again. We are going to get out of here. Thank you all so much for watching, and we will see you next time.
Thanks, Chris.